to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Counselor Peterson.
Here.
Counselor Geisler.
Here.
Counselor Nelson.
Here.
Counselor Hochschild.
Here.
Mayor Boucher.
Here. Announcements. Do any counselors have announcements that they'd like to make? We've all said our goodbyes and our thank yous to Jim Rich tonight, but I'd like to let everyone in the community know that we're losing a very valued city employee of many years in Jim Rich, and we wish him all the best in retirement and thank him for his service. Public hearing, we have a section on public hearing on public comment period on body worn cameras and the use of body worn camera policy. Mr. Mulder, do we want the chief to go over this?
Well, just briefly is that, well, this is not a formal public hearing. We did want to list on the agenda that this would be the time for public comment on our body worn cameras and the use of those cameras, our policy relative to that. So this is just a time for the public to speak on that. So you can almost treat it as a public hearing, Mayor.
Chief, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I do not.
Any member of the public, either present in chambers or online, if you wish to comment on body worn cameras and the use and policy by the police department, please state your name and address for the record. Is there any public comment on the Hermantown Police Department and city's policy and use of body worn cameras by police officers? Last call for public comment. If we have none, we will move to communications. We appear to have no relevant communications on tonight's list. Anything, Mr. Mulder, that you'd like to add?
No, simply, we didn't include anything in the packet, but if there's some on that list that you would like, just please let us know and we can get those to you.
And we have no presentations at this meeting. Now we move to general public discussion. This is a time that individuals can address any item not on the agenda. We ask that you limit your time to 3 minutes per person. Do we have any public discussion this evening from either people in chambers or present online? If anyone wishes to participate in public discussion with the council, please state your name and address for the record. With no public discussion, we will move to the consent agenda. Do we have a motion for the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Geisler, second by Councilor Nelson. Roll call, please.
Counselor Geisler.
Aye.
Counselor Nelson.
Aye.
Counselor Hochschild.
Aye.
Counselor Peterson.
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Next to motions, we have motion 10A, motion for a massage license for Chad Rummel, who will be operating at the well. Do we have a motion?
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Peterson, second by Councilor Nelson. Mr. Mulder?
This was a application for a massage therapist license that we received last week or so. We were in the process of doing background checks, and that background check was able to be completed today. So we'd recommend approval of that license.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council? Hearing none, do we have any public input on this motion? Is there anyone present, either online or in chambers, that wishes to comment on this? If there's any public comment, please state your name and address for the record. With no public input, could we have a roll call?
Counselor Peterson.
Aye.
Counselor Geisler.
Aye.
Counselor Nelson.
Aye.
Counselor Hochschild.
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. We have three ordinances on tonight's agenda. All are first readings, so there will be no vote or public comment on these ordinances. We have ordinance 2022-05, an ordinance establishing airport zoning overlay safety zones and adopting regulations. First reading, there will be a second reading in 2 weeks on this ordinance. Next, ordinance 2022-06, an ordinance amending section 350.04, acceptance and opening of additional roads and streets of the Hermantown City Code by modifying the name of EV Drive to read as Stevie Drive. This is the first reading. Next, ordinance 2022-07, an ordinance amending Title II of the Hermantown City Code by amending the official zoning map 4798 Miller Trunk Highway. That will end the first readings. Resolution 2022-54, a resolution approving preliminary and final planned unit development for ATK storage. Do we have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Councillor Housechild, second by Councillor Geisler. Mr. Mulder, should we have Mr. Johnson address this?
Sure.
Eric?
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. Before us this evening is a preliminary and final PUD for ATK storage. It's for the creation or building of a 60 by 202 foot, as well as a 40 foot by 104 foot cold storage or mini storage buildings. This is an existing 6.5 acre site. Back in 2020, the council had approved a PUD for this development at that time. Initially, the applicant was thinking that some future phases would have the ability to condo those and sell out particular individual units to people. He has decided not to go that direction, keep this strictly as a rental facility that way. So before us, really, the PUD, it just is looking for a reduction in the side yard setback from 40 feet to 30 feet associated with that 60 by 202 foot building. The property owner to the north is associated with the airport property. So there's no active use of that property to the north that way. There will be new pavement surfaces associated with these buildings, and the buildings will be in similar design as the existing ones. All the previous work has taken care of this phase as far as stormwater requirements. So it's just really the building of these two new buildings.
Thank you. Do you have any questions or comments from councilors?
I know we talked about this already in the pre-agenda, but just confirming that the other neighbors all around him have had no concerns regarding this or feedback.
That is correct. I've not received any comments in the past 2 years since this has been opening. There has been public notice sign out on this property and received no comments associated with that.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from council? Do we have any public input on this resolution? If so, please state your name and address for the record. Is there any public input either from people within chambers or online? Last opportunity for public input. Roll call, please.
Councillor Nelson,
Aye.
Councillor Housechild,
Aye.
Councillor Peterson,
Aye.
Councillor Geisler,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Resolution 2022-55, resolution authorizing a contract for professional services with Kraus Anderson for phase 1 of the ice arena portion of the Community Recreation Initiative in the amount of $22,000. And we'll note that Councillor Geisler will be abstaining on this one. Mr. Mulder?
So as you recall, we hired Cross Anderson as,
Motion.
oh, sorry.
Motion approved.
Motion by Councillor Peterson.
Second.
Second by Councillor Housechild. Sorry, Mr. Mulder?
I only speak when spoken to. That's not true either. As you recall, we had a resolution that authorized the hiring of Kraus Anderson as the construction manager at risk. But that's kind of contingent upon the passing of the referendum on the sales tax. But in the meantime, we do need some work done in terms of kind of some pre-design work on the ice arena and some public education work on kind of what we're trying to accomplish there. So we wanted to do just a professional services agreement for this first phase.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or comments from council? Is there any public input on this resolution? If so, please state your name and address for the record. Is there any public input on resolution 2022-55? Final opportunity for public input on this resolution. Roll call, please.
Counselor Housechild.
Aye.
Counselor Peterson.
Aye.
Counselor Geisler.
Abstain.
Counselor Nelson.
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Resolution 2022-56, resolution approving wage adjustment for public works seasonal help. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Counselor Nelson, second by Counselor Peterson. Mr. Mulder.
This resolution is simply to make an adjustment to our seasonal help, just so we can do a better job of retaining and recruiting for the summer help.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council? With none, we'll move to public input. Is there any public input either in chambers or online on resolution 2022-56? If anyone wishes to comment on this resolution, please state your name and address for the record. Is there any public input on this resolution? Roll call, please.
Counselor Peterson.
Aye.
Counselor Geisler.
Aye.
Counselor Nelson.
Aye.
Counselor Housechild.
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Resolution 2022-57, City of Hermantown resolution in support of local government aid, Senate File 3971, House File 4064. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Counselor Peterson, second by Counselor Geisler. Mr. Mulder.
There are these two bills that are referenced in the resolution would increase the funding levels for local government aid, and would also include cities that currently do not receive local government aid. So we are recommending that we communicate our support of this to the various legislators involved. This is kind of modeled off of the Greater Minnesota Cities resolution on this issue.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or comments from council?
I would just say I'm really happy to see that the legislator is finally working on this issue. I know it's something you all especially have worked on for a long time. I think Hermantown is one of just a handful of cities that is actually getting new LGA money. So this is not a huge thing for a bunch of cities. We're really one of the few that would get kind of our fair share, I think. And so just glad that we're taking a step to promote it or to push for it. So.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
I would just like to thank Counselor Housechild and Joe Wickland on their work on this from a legislative standpoint and helping kind of keep pushing on this. Because I agree with you, it's been an important issue and frustration, I would say, from the community standpoint. So thank you to your work.
Thank you. Anything else from council? Is there any public input on this resolution? If so, please state your name and address for the record. Any public input on resolution 2022-57? Is there any public input on this resolution? Roll call, please.
Counselor Geisler.
Aye.
Counselor Nelson.
Aye.
Counselor Housechild.
Aye.
Counselor Peterson.
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Resolution 2022-58, resolution approving body worn camera use policy. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Counselor Nelson, second by Counselor Peterson. Mr. Mulder.
We'll have Chief Grace speak to this issue.
Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. As required by Minnesota statute, we had to do a survey and do some public input. in a couple of different fashions. We did a survey on the use of body worn cameras in the policy. And then we gave the opportunity for comment here as well. Just real quick, we received 83.3% positive response in support of body worn camera policy or body worn cameras in the police department. And 61% of respondents did believe that it would increase public trust in law enforcement. The policy is required by the state of Minnesota statutes as well as a grant that we submitted for. So I recommend approval of the policy that we developed, which is largely based on state of Minnesota model policies.
Thank you. Do you have any questions or comments from council? I, for one, am glad that we're moving forward with this. I know it had been planned for a year or two out, but it's rapidly becoming a public expectation that cameras are present with all police officers. And I'm glad to see that we're moving ahead with this before we have a problem that there's a bunch of public outcry asking why we don't have cameras. We'll have that answer. Thank you for your work on this and pushing this.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Is there any public input on this resolution? If so, please state your name and address for the record. Is there any public resolution on the body worn camera policy? With no public input, we'll move to a roll call.
Counselor Nelson.
Aye.
Counselor Housechild.
Aye.
Counselor Peterson.
Aye.
Counselor Geisler.
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Resolution 2022-59, resolution receiving quotations and awarding contract for the purchase of body worn cameras from Axon Enterprises Incorporated in the total contract amount of $171,447.03.
So moved. So moved.
Second.
Motion by Counselor Housechild, second by Counselor Geisler. Mr. Mulder, is there anything we need to add on this?
No, unless the chief wants to add something to it.
Just real quick, of note, the Minnesota State contract allowed for a 5% discount for the amount of units that we're buying. And we were able to negotiate an 8% discount. So the quote that you have before you is below the state bid. Part of that was just working with them and trying to save as much as we possibly could. So I agree with the mayor. I think it's become an expectation, and I think this is going to be a great addition to our technology in the police department.
And does this purchase price also include the purchase of new tasers that are integrated with the cameras?
Correct, sir. It adds the addition of the body worn camera, which we do not have. We have an aging and past their life group of tasers. Each officer is issued a taser. This will be a newer technology of taser that works with the body worn cameras and activates when that taser is activated, or their handgun as well. So they work in together. And the next item, which is the cameras for the squad car, that's the next resolution, also work all on as one seamlessly. So that's technology that we didn't really have in the past. So, but to answer your question directly, yes, it's replacing cameras that or tasers that we have had deployed for many, many years.
Thank you for that clarification. I appreciate that. Any other questions or comments from council? Hearing none, is there any public input on this resolution? If so, please state your name and address for the record. Is there any public input on resolution 2022-59? With no public input, we'll move to a roll call.
Counselor Housechild,
Aye.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Counselor Nelson,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Next is resolution 2022-60. Resolution receiving quotations and awarding contracts for the purchase of fleet video and related accessories from Axon Enterprises Incorporated in the total contract amount of $91,564.20. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Counselor Peterson, second by Counselor Nelson. Mr. Mulder, I think we've gone over just about everything.
Yeah, and only if Chief Grace needs to add anything.
Chief, is there anything you need to add other than these cameras may be delayed 10 to 12 months?
The cameras for the squad cars may be delayed. I guess I would add that this is not new technology. This technology we implemented in 2012. Shortly after I came here, we put squad cars in cameras in the squad cars. The only difference is these will work together with the body cameras. So we got our useful life out of those cameras that we put in the squad cars many years ago. I will also note that we were able to negotiate an 8% discount, which is 3% under the state contract. And lastly, just understand that this isn't a one and done purchase. About every 5 years, we're going to have to refresh this technology. So it's important to note that it's like a computer that we have to plan now to refresh this technology in the future.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council? With none, we'll move to public comment. Is there any public comment on this resolution? If any member of the public wishes to comment on this, please start with your name and address for the record. With no more public comment, we'll move to a roll call.
Counselor Peterson,
Aye.
Counselor Geisler,
Aye.
Counselor Nelson,
Aye.
Counselor Housechild,
Aye.
Mayor Boucher.
Aye. Next, we need a motion to move to closed session to discuss or evaluate the asking price and naming rights and other connections with the potential hockey arena. Do we have a motion?
Motion to go to closed session.
Second.
Motion by Counselor Geisler, second by Counselor Nelson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
We'll take just a couple minutes for people to clear the room. Get a file out of my office too.